As I mentioned in an earlier video, I thought I was pretty comfortable from a musical standpoint when I started leading worship. What I discovered over the first year or two was that I wasn't exactly leading worship. I was mostly just singing songs with the band, hoping others would join in. As I began to process more of what I was being called to do, my mind could easily be cluttered with the technical things like giving proper cues to the band, making smooth transitions, and trying to interact a little bit with the congregation. Because there were so many other things to think about in the context of trying to lead a group of people, I was having a very difficult time worshiping God in that setting. I would have sweet times in His presence in my preparation, but I was beginning to think that this whole worship leading thing was going to be my sacrifice for the people. Thankfully, I didn't remain there. I remember even being convicted at one point, thinking, how can I expect others to worship God when we gather if I'm not there with them? This inspired more diligent preparation musically, spiritually, and mentally to not be so consumed with the technical parts so I could focus on worshiping God and leading others to do the same. Another perspective I began to think through a bit more was, when I'm trying to connect with God, when I'm worshiping from the congregation, what things help or hinder that experience? One of the first things that came to mind as a hindrance for me is distractions. We can all be distracted by different things, but there are some pretty common things that can distract an entire group of people. One of the major things that we as worship leaders have some control over is musical mistakes. Even non-musical people feel it when something's off. Now I realize we all make mistakes on occasion, that's just reality, but my encouragement to you is to minimize as many musical distractions as possible when you're leading any group of people in worship. This includes bad chords, off-pitch vocals, out-of-tune guitars, weird timing, abrupt stops, an ununified band, and so much more. So, think for a moment, what types of things distract you from focusing on God during a worship service? Are some of these distractions something that you have some level of control to minimize so that others can more easily connect with God? These are important questions to ask. Strive for excellence. As we work towards minimizing distractions, there are also many things we can do intentionally to grow vocally and musically, and also in our ability to lead and shepherd people. But we can't forget why we're striving for excellence. If flawless performance is our end goal, we're totally missing the point. We are worship leaders. Our job is to do our best to point people to God and then step out of the way. We can get in the way when we underprepare. We can also get in the way when we overperform. There's a fine balance in there somewhere. Developing a worship team culture that desires to minimize distractions and strives for excellence starts with you. That doesn't mean that you need to be the best musician or vocalist on the team. In fact, I love surrounding myself with more gifted musicians than myself on the team, and you should too. What it does mean is that you raise the bar for what you're striving for, and you communicate to the team why you want everyone to work together to minimize distractions and strive for excellence. This is not a one-time thing. It's a piece of ongoing vision casting for your team that will develop a culture and a standard you can build on later. The next video will get into some of the details of how to increase your musical skills and inspire others on the team to do the same.